Okay, here we are back at week two, and we're going to be dealing with decimals, fractions, and a few other things with conversions that we can kind of link to that. So I'm going to kind of just go through here and pick a few of these. Hopefully, they're going to be time savers for you. That's the intention of these videos, and a lot of this stuff, again, is from probably a long time ago, but maybe, you're one of the people that indicated in the introductions that it's been quite a while since you've been using mathematics and that sort of stuff. So I just wanted to quickly kind of go over some things here to maybe, uh, reduce some of the frustration. Again, I don't care what the topic is. If you have been away from it a while, it's obviously going to be something that, you may experience a little bit of frustration, trying to remember and that sort of thing. And even some of you, there's been some developments with calculators and so forth. I think you're finding if you haven't used Excel, some pretty cool things in those discussion posts and so forth. So anyway, what I wanted to do was just go through a few of these examples here, and so. For instance, you might be asked something with place value, and that could be something that, again, for a while you haven't taken a look at, thought about, um, and they're going to give you numbers that aren't all that big or out too many decimal places, place values that are far from the decimal point. But just in case, if you would be or interested, you could just Google, or in this case, DuckDuckGo, do some sort of search for a place value chart. And you could see that this one here, goes out to the 10,000s and to the, or I'm sorry, 100,000s and thousands, I should say, or thousands. But, if I had a number in here, if you just bear with me for a second, I'm trying to draw here with my mouse. But, if I just, did something like, one, two, just so we get different digits here, three, four, five, six, seven. And just like that question that I had selected here, if we want what digit represents the tens place, well, that would be the four, and the thousands, that would be the two, and the hundredths, that would be the seven, and so forth. And, again, you could go ahead and do that over here. I'm just going to click this solve button here, and I'll clear my drawing also. But you can see that, the ones place is the three, and the tenths is going to be the eight. And, so again, fairly straightforward, question there that you're going to be asked about decimal places or place value. So, moving on with some things, like for instance, a whole number division with decimal, answers, if you're asked to, go ahead and do some sort of, division, notice here, there's no calculator and you would have to do long division. I would again just go ahead and, use a calculator here. I have my, my math calculator, but, if I just quite simply just take 3 divided by 4 and hit my equals here, I'm going to get 0.7. And I know you probably all wish you had the solve button like I do, but I just do that just to save time and to type that stuff in quicker. So anyway, that's just, the division and expressing something in terms of a decimal. And later on, you'll see that that obviously is how you would convert. Let's say if we would express this as a fraction, 3/4. I won't do one of those later on, but if I did, let's just say I had here 3/4, and I was asked to convert that to a decimal. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and perform the division just like I did here to get 0.75. Okay. And like I said, most of you probably know that. And, but again, just, a review if it's been a while for you. Okay. So that's one of the things that we want to go ahead and do here. The same would be true, for something like this. Uh, again, I don't go ahead and write this out and do long division. I mean, you can if you want to, but it would just be a whole lot easier just going ahead and using that calculator. Okay. Even though they don't provide the calculator here for you. All right. So don't assume that you can't use it. Here you can and should whenever you can, have the opportunity. All right. So this is just, some of the things that you'll be having to do. Sometimes you'll get, word problems with decimal addition and multiplication. So if we just want to take a quick look at something like that, people see word problems. Notice now I do have a calculator here that I can use. And it just says, requirements for each player has to have a glove, a hat, and a pair of cleats. And I guess all this stuff here is what the cost would be. So, if I would just go ahead and start typing this in here, this calculator is kind of nice because you can see what it is that you typed in. And the some of the stuff to get, if you wanted to edit it, you can go back and click with your mouse and so forth and get into different, spaces to go ahead and edit your command. But it just gives you, the sense of some calculators don't express all that like this one over here. Won't be able to have that all on the same screen. So this is what's nice about this. I'm probably going to mistype something because I'm talking at the same time, but okay, so here we have the glove, hat, and a pair of cleats all cost their those respective numbers. And so I'm going to add all that up for one player, okay, which would be 93. And then now we want for 11 players. So you can just hit the multiplication button and it still keeps that there for you. And then I can hit my equals and use my solve button. And there you can see that I end up with the total cost there. So, that's one of those things that, we would probably do with our phones and probably use this calculator if you have an iPhone or something like that. But, again, once you get used to it, no big deal. And I mean the calculator, that is. Okay. So there'll be, they call these word problems, but, again, it's just common sense adding and subtracting things to that particular, performing those operations with the calculator. Okay. Converting a fraction with a denominator of 100 to a percentage, that's pretty simple because, when we're doing that, that's what the definition of percentage is. It means how many out of 100. And so per cent generally means 100. So per 100, we have 71 of those. So as long as this denominator is equal to 100, really the solution is just going to be the numerator. In this case would be the 71. And of course, we would use the percentage sign as well. And notice you can have this from this palette here to go ahead and enter that value. Could you use the calculator to do that? Yes, you could. If I would take the 71 and divide it by 100, notice I am going to get the decimal representation of that. And then remember how we convert to percentages. We just move that decimal place 2 places, or decimal point 2 places to the right to get our 71% in this case. Okay, so like I said, it's just a matter of entering the answer because that's what the word percent means, per 100. So again, we would just write the 71 in there. All right, so that's one of those, and I'll just quickly do one of these and then get into some of the other I guess more involved problems with equations and so forth. If we want to write this as a decimal, remember this is just a matter of moving this decimal point around. And when we go from decimals to percentages, we're going to go ahead and move it to the right two places. So this would be the 19.6%. And if I move this over two places to the left, notice that, from here, I got to add zeros as I move to the left. So that would be 0.085. Okay. So again, these are, again, pretty simple problems if you remember how to do those. Okay. And so, if I get into just a few of these here, I don't want to do a ton of them, but, finding percent, percentage of a total amount. So if I get in here, again, it's nice that we have this calculator to go ahead and use when we're doing these types of problems. It says a file that has 284 megabytes is being downloaded. If the download is 19% complete, how many megabytes have been downloaded? So another way of expressing that is, right, we want to just know what 19.6% of the 284 is. So, I don't know if you remember, a teacher in the past saying that word of means multiply, okay? So really all we need to do is just, take and multiply this point or convert this to a decimal and then multiply. That's why we went over that first. So if I would just take 0.196 and multiply that by 284, I am going to go ahead and get this 55.64. Kind of makes sense, right? Because it's not all downloaded. It's a portion of it. And it's not quite a fourth or, almost a fifth of whatever this is. But, I'll hit my solve button. And of course, you got to be careful here now. Again, this is one of the nuances of ALEKS. Notice my value here is 55.664, but they want us rounding this to the nearest tenth. So I have to go to that 10th place. And since this number is a 6, right, I bump this number up if it's a 5 or above. If this number was 4 or below, I would just leave it as is. Okay, so I bump this one up to 55.7, and there we go. All right, so that is that one. Here is a problem where we have a maybe a little bit more involved. Okay, and again, we have these words of, which generally, again, means multiply when you're dealing with problems of this nature, and is means equals. So it's kind of one of these things here, if I set one of these up, I'll try to get my pen. And again, please be patient with me. I'm trying to write here with my mouse, but if I just write out what there's given here, 0.45, okay, of means times. So of what? Well, I don't know what that is, so I'm just going to let that be my variable x. We're going to get a little bit of algebra here, is equal to 18. Okay. So I'm going to come over here to my calculator, and when I do that, okay, if I solve this equation, I would have to divide both sides by 0.45. And so that means I'm not going to take the time to write that out. It would make this a lot longer. So if I just take 18 and divide that by 0.45 and hit my equals, I get 40 here. Okay. So there's my 40, and it says what number is 55% of 60. So that kind of would be, I'll write it out here. What number is, so I'll put an equal sign, 55%. Again, I'm going to go ahead and do the conversion here. 55% of 60. So I'm just going to multiply. This is supposed to be a parenthesis here. That is really bad. Sorry about that. 55% of 60. So all I need to do here for this equation is just, again, multiply the 0.55 times 60. And I am going to get the 33. Okay. So you can see that, if you just write out what is in this case, written in terms of an equation and use a little bit of algebra in this first one, wouldn't be required here because the variables, technically already solved for it, right? It's by itself here on this side of the equation. We just needed to go ahead and do that arithmetic or, on the calculator here, okay? So, maybe we'll do one more here with final amounts and finding multipliers to give a final amount. I don't know. These are kind of very similar. So let me just clear this drawing. And okay, it said last year Trey opened an investment account. At the end of the year, his account increased by 24.5%. How much is this increase in dollars? And then how much was his account at the end of last year? Now, there's a couple approaches that we can take here, right? We can take the $6,600, right? And of that, it's going to be increased. So what we wanted to do is find out, well, what's 24.5% of this? Because that's how much it's gone up. So if I would just add that or multiply that by 0.245, okay, that means the account has gone up by 1617. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit my solve button here. And then if I would just add that number right here to the $6,600, I'm going to get the 8,217. Okay. Another way of doing this, let's say we just didn't want to know what the increase amount is, or if we wanted to find the year-end amount first, one of the things that we could do is, well, if it increased by 24.5%, that means he has 124.5% of the original amount, which was 6,600. And you could see that that would lead me right to this particular number here. And then if I would subtract the 1617 from it, okay, must have hit something different here. I have the 8,000. Let me try that again. 124.5, and I multiplied that by 6600. Okay. So oh, I know what I did. I didn't write it as a decimal. Sorry about that. So it should be 1.245. Excuse me, that's what was going on. Okay. So if I had 124% and I moved two places, that's 1.245. Sorry about that. Okay. Then I'm going to multiply that by 6600. Okay. I did that too quickly. Okay. And so there is my $8,217. And then if I go ahead and subtract the 1,617 from it, okay, you can see that I'm again back to that. So I guess I probably should have taken the 8,217 and subtracted actually the 6600, and that would have given me my 1617. Okay, so it just a couple of different ways of dancing around that. Sorry, I made that error. I forgot to, I just put in the 124.5. I didn't convert it to the decimal representation. Okay. All right, so that's going to be it for these decimal problems, and I'll be back with another video. I think we got one with fractions, and then we'll get into one with conversions, and that probably ought to be it for this particular week 2 material. All right, we'll see you next video.